We're now going to create a relational database, and relational databases are made up of entities, attributes, and relationships. So basically, in order to create a relational database, we need to have multiple data tables. Each data table is known as an entity, and they may be a specific area of a database. So for example, in a school database, there'd be an entity for teachers, an entity for students, an entity for classrooms, and an entity for subjects. Now, each of these entities has its own attributes, which are fields. Okay, and fields are all the details about each database. So basically what that means is, in the area of students, you'd have student name, their age, their parents' details, their email address. And then under the entity of teachers, you'd have their teacher's name, what subjects they teach, and so on. So they would be the attributes for each of these separate entities. Now, there'll be times where we need to connect all these entities together, such as creating the school timetable. This is done through establishing relationships. Now, this is where the power of a relational database is, because we can pull all that data across by bringing across just the primary key, and by making it a foreign key, it allows us to connect all the attributes in one table to another. Okay, so let's take a look at how we can do this in Microsoft Access. So here you can see on my left, I've created 3 tables: membership, movies, and purchase. Now these could be for some sort of movie rental system. Okay, so I've established these 3 different tables. Now if you take a look at these tables, membership has its own ID field, movies has its own ID field, and then in the purchase table, I can see that the membership ID and the movie ID are also here as well. Okay, by these 2 existing here, they are known as foreign keys, and they are my reference point back to the other 2 entities. Okay, so now I'm going to make my relational database now. So in order to do that, I'm going to go to Database Tools, and I'm going to go Relationships. I'm going to close my database tables so I don't get any problems. Okay, and I'm going to drag them on now. So I'm going to put on membership. Purchase is in the middle because it's going to be the one that's connecting everything, and movies. And now it's a piece of cake. All I've got to do is connect the primary key member ID to the foreign key member ID in the purchase database. It's made the connection, and I'm going to enforce referral integrity, create, and it's established it's a one-to-many connection. Then I'm going to do the same thing with movie ID to movie ID. Its primary key is foreign key. Movie ID to movie ID, enforce the integrity, and go create. And I've now created my relational database. So now what I might do is test that it works. I'm going to do this by creating a query. So I'm going to go to create, and I'm going to go query. I'll do it by design, and I'm going to bring in all 3 databases, tables, and I might just make it so that purchase is in the middle. And what I'll do is I'll do a check on what one of the users, based on their ID, has out rented at the moment. So firstly, I'm going to put in the purchase ID because I want to know under which purchase this transaction happened. I then want to know which member based on their ID, and I want to see their surname and first name attributes come up with this search as well. Okay, I want to know what the member has specifically rented. So I need their movie ID information, and I want to know what movie it is, and I want to know how much it costed. Okay, and let's also see the rental duration. So I've basically got all 3 entities supplying different attributes to this search. Now the only criteria I'm going to do in this search is I'm going to put in the member's barcode. So this might be when I scan their card retrieves the number 2. So whoever the member with the ID 2 is, I want their information. I'm going to run this query, and here it is. Bruce Wayne is the name of the member, and they've rented 2 movies. It's Man of Steel and Predator, and that is a cost of $7 and $5. So I can see that my relational database is actually working now because it brought in all these different attributes from the purchase ID, from the actual membership ID, and from the actual movie ID. I've got these fields. So 3 different entities all supplied information in one search. Now I can also create a report based on this information now. And now here's my database report, and as you can see in the actual report, it actually gives me the total cost as well of this actual search. So can you see how making a relational database has actually made it quite interesting that I can pull data from multiple locations? Now, the big advantage of this is if I needed to change user info or I needed to change actual movie info, I only need to change that data in that entity or update in that entity, and that automatically then gets dragged across in my relational database. There is no need to enter the same data multiple times. It just needs to be in one location and we reference it there. So I hope this has all given you a better understanding of a relational database.